Sometimes the most powerful changes in a business don't come from strategy sessions or 5-year plans. Sometimes they start with a simple question. In today's conversation, Jeff Kaas shares the story of how opening his factory to visitors began to change the way his team saw their work. Those conversations eventually led to new systems, new ways of learning, and a surprising realization. Real improvement rarely happens in big, dramatic leaps. More often than not, it happens through small experiments repeated every day. This episode is about curiosity, humility, and the quiet power of learning in public.
Welcome to Beats Working, Winning the Game of Work, hosted by Dan T. Rogers. This show invites you into conversations that go deeper than job titles and hustle. It's about rethinking what work is for and how we can design it to serve our lives, rather than the other way around. Here, we'll talk with leaders, makers, and thinkers who are doing more than earning a paycheck. They're getting paid to practice life.
Jeff, thanks for joining us today.
Good morning.
All right. So we were talking a little bit off pre-recording, and I was aware of some of the programs that you had. One called Kaas, and we almost started talking about like what it was turning into. But I thought, well, gosh, maybe we should save that, and maybe even turn the dial back a little bit and talk about what that sort of origin was, and just maybe how do you and how does Kaas Tailored approach and Truth Bit Pull, how do you approach just iteration and evolving of offerings?
Yeah, it's great. So we're always learning. I think that's kind of the fun part is that, I think this originally started as a learning adventure. So we had visited a great company or two and learned some things. And so we got to a point really out of frustration where we just said, let's just copy these people. They figured out stuff and I am just not smart enough to figure it out. And all of the time we were spending was really just debating what wouldn't work without running any experiments whatsoever. So one of the things that they did is as Toyota, as a company, they offered tours and they had, very official tours. But we were lucky enough to go to tours on the shop floor because we went to we went to the factories that weren't the famous tour sites. So we got to get on the shop floor and we would hear things like, boy, thanks for coming. You guys really helped us sort through stuff just by asking questions. So that there was an indication that the people providing the tours were gaining something. I think we probably thought they were being nice, not understanding culture. And they could have been, don't know. But so we started doing the free tours for years, probably a decade or so. That's how we met, you and I think. Mm-hmm. And we basically standardized on it to create some source of, to shut down some of the chaos. People were coming and going left and right. It was super disruptive. So initially it was just, hey, we'll do a tour. It starts at 7:53 in the morning. We'll do 4 hours. We'll do it 3 days a week, 40 weeks a year. And we didn't charge at all. And what that looked like is just people in our factory all the time asking great questions. The blessing to us is that we were learning our craft, learning how to speak, learning the common questions, the uncommon questions. Mm-hmm. So that was, I would say, phase one was just come and see.
Can you think of like maybe either through a common question or things that you thought they would ask, like just if you go back to that early when they're just, hundreds of people coming through 40 weeks out of the year and just inside of the chaos of that, like what was some of the stuff that percolated through that you're like, oh, wow, I don't know that we would have seen that or surfaced that without sort of their intrusion?
Yeah, so every time they'd ask a question that we'd heard like the third or fourth time, we're like, how do we make that question go away so we can get to the fun stuff? Mm-hmm. So a lot of the visual management that you have seen or the tools that are there, or the open office, whatever it is, mm-hmm. It was really just, hey, let's make it visually obvious so that the questions that they ask are deeper. So I'd say that, it'd be like, how do you know the status of
fill in the blank?
How did you get rid of email? How did you get out of the meeting culture? Like these are questions that are, I imagine like if you were like a famous singer singing the same song over and over again must be horrible. Like it's a version of hell, I think, maybe. So the repeat questions became, oh, hey, that question keeps coming up. How do we answer it? And what we found by doing so is it made my entire team realize, you know what, we've been asking that same day, the same darn question. And didn't know we were asking that question. So a specific one would just be like, it was literally status of things. Like, how do you know the status? How do you know things are okay? What's the current condition of, anything, fill in the blank.
So I'm going to reflect back what I heard you say. I'm going to add some commentary to it because I think I just learned something way deeper. So before we met, somebody pointed out, I'll let them remain anonymous for the moment. I'm pretty sure I know who did it, but like, gosh, we pay to go see professional sports and everyone knows exactly what the score is and when the game ends and there's a penalty and we might argue about it. But if the home team always agrees or disagrees together, blah, blah, blah. But think about your business. Like, where's the scoreboard for your employees? And so the thought as you were saying that, I was like, gosh, what would I change if we were giving tours so outsiders could see, forget my employees having a scoreboard, what would the scoreboard look like for the fans, not for the players?
Yeah, interesting.
And there's and the reason why I share that back to you is I've seen some iterations of the visual management that you guys have, which is phenomenal, and never once sort of pulled it at that level because it's a different ask. It's like, okay, wait a second. Anyway, so I'll pause there.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
I like that one. I like that one.
And I would say that there's a secondary activity going on, which is I don't want this business to thrive based on my presence or my talent. So part of also is if a human being can come in and have a desire to serve a community like mine, and I can provide the knowledge, the ability to see kind of what's going on, that I thought that I was building sustainability in terms of can the company exist without me? So every time we added something that made it simpler to operate, I thought, wow, my job is becoming really, really silly easy. It's, what is the current condition? Who has the ball? And it's not perfect, but that was another motivation for me. It's very interesting to think in terms of the viewpoint of the fans and the players, because we're looking at a revamp on our visual management system. Yeah. And that's a gift to hear that. I hadn't really considered that either, but yeah.
Well, something else that just came through, and you are a coach on multiple levels, all sorts of coach on multiple levels. I mean, professional for sure, but also on the personal and individual side, whether it be sports or religious, all sorts of stuff there. And so something that they say in the youth hockey community and coaching, which I'm really closer to a janitor than a coach, to be clear. The janitor on skates, picking up equipment. Like, let's just be clear. Janitor. Like, people are like, you coach? I'm like, no, I don't coach. They call me a coach, but I don't coach. Let's just be clear. That said, but they're like, practice is your game days.
Yeah.
And game days is their game days.
Yeah.
And that's like, oh man, that's another one. Yeah. What would it look like? Right?
Yeah. Really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And what does that look like then with the context of players and fans and practice and games?
And families. You got
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
It's a deeper level. Yeah. Super fun.
All right. Anyway, so that we got some people coming through asking lots of the same questions. So you're like, how can we make that? Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
What else?
Yeah. And
what?
So I think the next phase is probably just the realization, hey, we actually kind of know stuff now. So we had been to Holland to teach doctors and to learn with them initially. And then at some point we're like, we might know something valuable and it might be more valuable than the furniture we make. So there's a desire to continue that, but also to sift out some of the people who were maybe coming because their bosses made them. So we had a guest come in and said, why do you do this for free? And my answer was, well, it's ministry, love your neighbor thing. And she said, well, does your pastor get paid? And I'm like, yeah, you're really smart. You're scaring me. So it's okay to charge, right? And and then the stumping one was, you're doing pro bono work for Fortune 500 companies. How do you feel about that? And like, yeah, not very good because my team's not paid very well. So I feel kind of selfish, I think. So I started charging. So the next phase was charging. And what that did is it took the quality of the events up, the quantity of events down. And so I think that worked well. And then COVID hit. Crap hits the fan, and we realized, man, we are just out of relationship with all the people we care about.
Do you feel like that basic approach of what I would say for fun and for free, no strings attached, before you turn it into a paid offering, do you think that's the right way to go, or do you think you can launch things the other way? And look, we're both for profit, like we're not opposed to money, right? So I'm not putting it that way, but like in terms of prototyping and that sort of stuff.
Well, the value of doing it for fun and for free is paid practice, because they gave you attention, right? So we weren't qualified to be teaching it. So, and it wasn't a vision of ours to build a consulting business. It was an accident of we literally were trying to love our neighbors, trying to love our people by giving them an opportunity to stand. So I would say most businesses start with a smart person who has a vision, and then they build it out, and they raise money or get paid, and I'm just not that smart, so I'm not that guy. But for what, so even the work that we're editing to in the future, or moving towards, I just didn't feel qualified. Until I know that I have something of value, I'm not going to charge money for something. So it could just be a limitation of my brain that does that. So but we had 40,000 people through the business. That's a pretty dang decent education we got, and they were people from all over the world and all different fields of work. So I feel like the gift was just ridiculous gift to our team, the gift to show off what they were doing. It can be done either way, but I you have to be good at something, I think, to sell it. Actually, to be sustained and selling it. So, and I have to feel good. Like the products that we make for aerospace or furniture, if I'm not proud of those things, I don't want to sell them. I don't want to make them. I don't have anything to do with anything we're not proud of. So, not sure if I answered the question there, but it was significant for us.
Yeah. So that's great. Thank you for that. So you said you were out of community.
COVID.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm not sure I would call that a phase, but I think you have to, because tours stopped, furniture stopped, aerospace stopped, everything in our business. We're just trying to survive. But even during that time, realize the people that we love spending time with, the tour guests, whatever, they're suffering at home alone. And here we were blessed. Like we were in the factory. We were, I don't know, either we interpreted the law to be essential or somebody told us we were, but we were here.
Yep.
And so we just started putting on some free events virtually and had a lot of people show up, and they were crazy fun, and we were surprised by that. And at some point, at the same time, I took a winter trip with a ski pass and a teenage boy and my wife, and we skied the entire West 1 week at a time. So like, hey, what if we did virtual free pass? We have events all the time, and so I would say that's the Kaas Pass era. Was inspired by being able to ski whenever I want to. And what we learned from that phase was, oh man, in the old world, we'd see people, they'd come in, and then later in life, we might hear they did something cool. So phase one was for fun or free, but we weren't in a relationship. We were basically a one-hit wonder. Here's our song, hope you like it. When we started charging, we started to have deeper conversations with people. But we weren't in relationship. And when Kaas Pass came along, now we're in relationship with people, and now we're doing daily things with people. And with Kaas Pass, we're also coaching leaders of companies as basically a gift with purchase. We're like, hey, if you're willing to invest in your folks, that tells us you're interesting to us. So we started spending daily time with the leaders of some of our Kaas Pass companies and finding great joy in daily connection. Yeah, so that's phase three.
So if you can think of any patterns or any things or any surprises, things, so either things that happened all the time or things that you were surprised that happened when you went from deeper conversations into daily conversations, which seemingly would be more shallow, but if obviously over the course of time, it's a different type of depth, a breadth as opposed to depth potentially, with some depth in there, I'm sure, right?
I think it's both actually for us.
Yeah.
So the big surprise to us was that we were so, I would say I was so blind to the fact that I would meet a guy like you who is amazing on his own right, and we might hear 5 years later that you did something useful with our time. So just say like how, and then to have that, go up against our principles. We say truth, bit, and pull. We are batching. So it's this massive hypocrisy. Our model of connecting with people was batch. So why were we surprised that we started to do daily coaching and frequent interaction with people, that, all of a sudden we're like, oh, like you can't learn it all in one big blast. You do need to learn it a little bit at a time. So, and you got to attend something we put on to learn about Toyota Kata years ago. And so that was what also came with the virtual coaching. So we basically said, hey, if you have a cost pass, you're doing cool stuff, hey, wouldn't it make sense to have a challenge? Let's work in the direction of something awesome. And so it was at the same time we were experimenting with Toyota Kata. And so what ended up happening is a leader would be given or would take a challenge like, hey, cut the backlog from 45 days to 2. And they were like, I don't know how to do that. They started showing up with their teams to cost pass events, but also some specials, but then also daily coaching. And so they got to run daily experiments through the Kata framework, and we're finding, oh my word, this is what we want to do for the rest of our lives. So, and that's bringing us to the next phase. So basically we were violating the principles of flow.
Yeah.
And through this phase, we were like, oh, daily coaching, daily connect. This is what we want to do.
Yeah. Yeah. No. And big surprise, there was another magnitude of scale that the principles could be applied on that. Right. Yeah. No. I mean, surprise, but no surprise.
No surprise, but feel very stupid that we didn't catch it sooner.
Yeah. No. Hey, welcome. Like I said, there's two groups of folks. People that think there's been one and people that don't, but no one thinks there's been two. So we're okay. We're all right. We got it covered. It's all right. It's not us. I hear, and I can even see, and maybe have experienced a little bit of it myself, but what did it look like from your side, from people? And I don't want to be terribly jaded, but I want to still be somewhat grounded in reality or whatever. So, you're working with corporations, and they're not, the most ruthless corporations on earth, because they wouldn't have run into you and you wouldn't be working with them if they were just all about that. But they're still humans operating in post-pandemic world. So what were the results? What were the things that were happening that got them to be excited that this just wasn't some next new idea, framework thing, something like that?
Yeah. That's a good question. Real problems. So when real problems come up and you don't know how to solve them, this is what really caused the most movement. So we tried this model with a few few organizations, didn't have a problem. I had one client say, so he had an inside coach. He said, hey, there's that expedition that those guys, what are those guys called? Is it Lewis and Clark? He's like, yeah, you told me we were going on an expedition. You didn't tell me I was Lewis. So he wanted his team to go on an expedition and do stuff, but he didn't want to go. Totally failed. So it's like, this is one of my favorite stories now to say, hey, leader, if you aren't desiring to create a great opportunity, give a challenge to the team, it's going to go nowhere. And so it wasn't by design, it was by luck. We had other companies that were with us who had big challenges like survival in mind, and a lot of attention. And one of them was a public company that wasn't paying their bills on time. A couple others were private, and nobody's rescuing them, so they have to survive on their own. So the common, I would say the core thing is when we meet a leader who has a challenge that they don't know how to do alone, ideally, that this framework became the way that we can do it. I don't know if you remember when we were early in our relationship, there was a time that I was working with Nordstrom's private label group, and you and I talked about, I think you were like, hey, maybe there's some more engaged work we could do. And I'm like, I can't handle more.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so overwhelmed by trying to serve this big company. I don't have the capacity.
Mm-hmm.
Well, part of the problem is at that time, I wasn't using Tadakata as a framework. I didn't have a structure. I didn't have standard work and how to work with people.
Mm-hmm.
So discovering that structure is part of what occurred in this last phase, which is, there's a structure where the coach can be the coach, that doing it daily, like hello, 15-minute increments, but having a challenge plus a structure plus a person who wants to help, we're finding that, that's the thing we've been looking for. And so then that's kind of where we're at right now. We're like, hey, it's not that we won't do virtual events. It's not that we won't do in-person events. In fact, we want to keep doing that. But the people that we're engaging with are people who are saying, hey, I want a 15-minute slot. I have a challenge. And we're saying to those people, you have a challenge. You have a 15-minute slot. Oh, by the way, we have virtual events you can invite your teams to, because you're going somewhere, and at some point, they need to learn stuff. But let's let the problem, let's let the challenge pull them in to the learning, as opposed to, shoving French language at them before they are interested.
I definitely have some opinions that I'm not going to share at this moment about that. I really like how small the daily is, and the 15 minutes, right? So how maybe structure that before, and I'm not trying to put what maybe, and it may or may not have been structured that way with Nordstrom's or not, but in the past, or just maybe what you've experienced away from that. Because frequently it's like, well, let's get together, let's create a big supervision and and then a 5-year plan, and that's not, yeah. So I think there's real brilliance in the daily rhythm, the 15 minutes, and what are we going to do in the next 24 hours?
Yeah.
As opposed to, I mean, there might still be the same mountaintop that we're trying to get to. The difference is that in between time of the mountaintop and the 3-year targets and all that other stuff. Yeah.
So I think there's some relevant things that occurred that are gifts to me as a dude. One is, prior to COVID, I was a FaceTime guy to an annoying level. So it was literally, if you want to talk to me, it's either in person or FaceTime. Otherwise, sorry, I'm not available. Post-COVID, everybody's used to Zoom and whatever. So now it's really, really normal for people to have too much Zoom in their life. So that's one piece of information. The other piece of information is 40,000 people on tour. We asked them a question. Hey, of a 60-minute meeting, create a date. How many minutes are truly value added? The biggest number you'll ever get to is about 12 minutes, and that's usually the boss. All the studies are between 7 and 12. So you can kind of go, all right, science says. Right? So, and then add that to not having to walk from, so you take those two things and say 15 minutes value added. When I was working with NPG, we actually did have a crazy challenge. It cut your lead time significantly, and those teams that did it had really good business. It really worked well, but it was 15 minutes walking to the next meeting to be in a place to be able to migrate forward. So I would say those things changed the game quite a bit, and I'm much more clear, I'd say now, that if I have 15 minutes, like I book 4 15-minute calls in an hour. So everybody comes prepared. If you're not prepared, we hang up. It's good. Totally good. Try again tomorrow. So, yeah. No, I'm sure I've answered your question, but those are the things that need to occur.
I love that. I think I was thinking more from the client side or the coachee side, in terms of, and God help me if we get back there again, but I did some consulting, and people would love to talk about the big picture, but they couldn't humble themselves to actually do some of the work. We let most of them go because I'm like, hey, if you're not following the directions, you're going to figure it out sooner or later. You're just not right. I'm not offended, but if we're not taking action, I told one guy, I was like, I've had the same update entirely too many times in a row, brother. I don't know what to tell you, I love you, but we can't keep having the same conversation. You're paying me. So, but I think the 15 minutes and then let's talk tomorrow prevents some of that as well. I mean, not to mention just the motion and all that other stuff, but just holy smokes. And then I don't know about the other folks, but it's one of those where for me, it would get my vanity and my ego on the right side of it. It's like, oh shit, I gotta have something. I gotta have something to say tomorrow. I can't do this one 3 days in a row, right? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Right. So,
Yeah.
anything striking with that?
Were you talking about the coachee's vanity? Or
Yeah. I mean, or just what you're seeing maybe from a difference of when you were looking to support people without the Toyota Kata and the 15-minute structure.
Yeah. So even without the kata structure, if you have a really big problem, you show up ready to go. So, and we've always had a mindset, okay, a little bit. So the experiments were real. But having Toyota Kata gives us a framework that's way easier.
Got it.
And so it's pretty normal if you schedule 5 days that one of our schedules collides with life. And so we show up 3 times, sometimes less, sometimes more. But the expectation of Toyota Kata is that you're prepared when you come to a coaching session. So if you're my coachee, you're going to show up and either say coaching session or, hey, I want to reflect on something. So we think about like the reality of living in business or living on the planet. I want to treat, if I'm coaching somebody, you're a whole person and we're going to talk about life, whole person life. So it's really, really normal. Like today I had a call with a leader in a hospital, and she explained a situation between 2 doctor groups, and they're basically fighting. And she said, I have no authority. I have no leverage. I'm like, well, okay, great. You're in a country where coalition governments are formed. Is there a possibility of looking at either reconciliation, because that's needed, or in your country, there's a thing called a coalition government. Is there somebody in government who could come in and inspire these guys to work together better? And she's like, oh, wow, great. I think I know what my next step is. It's not in her challenge, but it's a strategic conversation because I'm involved with the context of her business or kata challenge. So I would say that's as normal as anything. It's hey, you have a challenge. That's the context. That's what you owe to your business.
Yep.
I'm here to coach you through that, through the kata system. But I'd say at least half the time, it's, hey, I was in a meeting. I really tried to pull. It didn't work out. Or I'm preparing for a meeting. I need to figure out how to, work with the tools I have. So does that make sense? And it's really, 14 minutes, see ya. I sometimes wave and say goodbye mid-sentence. Yeah, and I've heard that's a good thing. Not a good thing, but like they're like, it's perfect. He's going to be on time and he's going to leave on time. So
Yeah.
Does this help? I'm not sure if I answered your question.
No. I think you more than answered the question. It also reminds me with the stuff that we're doing internally that we just tell them that we want them to talk about the things that they can trust their attention. It's like, hey, if it's on your mind, maybe we should talk about it. I don't know.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. All right. Great. So, as you sort of think through all of that stuff that we just sort of walked through, and I did not have this question 30 seconds ago, so just beware. Assuming that you're not the second one, where are you seeing where you're still batching? Or are you?
Yeah. So the reality is I know that I am, but I just don't know where.
Do you think that, and this is where the boss is super generous, what do you think, and I'm not, if I was going to critique anything, this is not where I would start, but you mentioned that you were going to potentially be redoing, I don't want to get the words wrong, but some portion or the visual management. Yeah. Is there an aspect of batch there maybe?
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about that. So in my organization, Office of President owns the operating system. We call it the Kaas operating system, not for branding, but so we can say this is in the Kaas operating system, this is not. We have a visual board that shows here are the items that we're working on, and here's the queue of what's next. So that on our strategy meeting Tuesdays, after Veggie Time, I own strategy time, so I can say, hey, operating system, next one up is the visual management system. What part of the visual management system is least clear to us, is shouting, I need attention? And if we have an opinion, Oz and I will say, hey, we think that today boards need a revamp. That's one of the things that we're looking at. So they're giving kind of the 4, 5, 6 group is given the opportunity to go, oh, I see what you're working on next. And this is the part that I think needs attention.
Mm-hmm.
Or they can say, it's working perfectly, don't screw it up.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
and I will listen to that for sure. So
Yeah.
once they give their input, then Oz will do design work,
Mm-hmm.
and then we'll run it through the process of, hey, here's our draft. Tucker's job is usually to roll those things out. Ken's job is
Mm-hmm.
to operate within the context of that. So
Mm-hmm.
since you can picture the whole thing, what I
Mm-hmm.
fully expect to see first is that there's a part of the today boards that are no longer used. So
Mm-hmm.
that'll be the first element, and it'll probably be wiped clean.
Mm-hmm.
Step one, we'll
Mm-hmm.
just do small changes.
Mm-hmm.
One part of our operating system that we discussed today is we have a huddle every day called the Central. And so the purpose of the Central is to make sure there's a big tent with all the today people. So it's the general manager, the section leaders, there's 4 total, and then the slice leaders, which are the departments. So the decision was made today that we intend to propose that if you are a level 3, 4, or 5, or not 6, 3, 4, 5, everybody attends. Right now, not all of the slice leaders attend because we hadn't declared that that was an important part of the design. So in our discussion, we're like, well, the purpose is to make sure information flows up and down and across. It's to learn and to know the current condition. So we'll present that to the strategy team tomorrow. We'll say, hey, here's a couple changes that we're looking at. The other thing that we know is we close out the day. So it's a morning huddle. There's an afternoon closeout. So the question there is, okay, for some people who leave earlier than that, should we adjust the time? Should we adjust the format? So we're just taking one operating system tool at a time. We're not trying to make it perfect. We're just trying to make an improvement on it. And yeah, right behind the today boards is the Kaizen system. I think with the Kaizen system, we're going to propose 2 things. Take the same form. Before you go to countermeasures, imagine if this is just awesome, what would it look like? Write it down. Now do your countermeasures. Tiny, tiny change can be rolled out almost immediately. And we'll start seeing it on the next Kaizens. And there might be something else, but I think that's an edit. So we're doing little edits at a time based on the needs of the business, but also I have an opinion about what the business might need in the day after tomorrow.
Sure.
So I will choose some things as well, but for the most part right now, So not in batch.
Yeah, 100%. And Kaizen obviously not in batch, right? So maybe for folks that don't know that, can you, I mean, I think they know way more about it if they listen to the last 3 minutes than they realized, but maybe give them the after now that they've heard the before, or give them the before now that they've heard the after. So for those that don't already know what Kaizen is, what is Kaizen, and maybe a little principle around it?
Kaizen. If you say Kaizen, I think it means go to jail or something funny.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
Kaizen.
My bad.
No, it's all good for you. I just make sure I at least let you know it means something different. I don't know.
There you go.
So, yeah.
As an Irish guy, I would probably already be in jail if I was.
Yeah. So as I understand Kaizen, it means change, which is morally right. If you go to a Japanese speaker, they'll say change, which is good, but with a moral element. It's not just higher quality. And so when we say Kaizen, it's after being in Japan several times, it is what what white people call lean manufacturing. So whenever you're there, they just keep saying Kaizen, Kaizen, Kaizen. So my question, of course, was, okay, change. I understand what change is. It's something different than before. What is good? What do you mean by that? And one of the things that they're quite clear to teach us is that, hey, flow is good. Anything that stops flow is undesirable, and those stops are usually caused by overproduction, the 7 wastes, whatever you call those. So the high level flow is the goal. The things that stop are the 7 wastes. So change, which is morally right, is remove some waste, and that waste is harmful to all the parties involved. So when I hear people say, "Hey, we do Kaizen events," that usually means a 5-day batch push workshop where a team goes and prototypes something, comes back, and then puts that on the team. that wasn't in the meeting. And then usually what happens in bigger companies is it doesn't stick. In good companies, it can stick and it can be wonderful, but just frequently doesn't. When we say Kaizen, we mean a little piece of paper that's half the size of a printer paper that is just, problem, how much waste is involved, a commitment to work on it with the leader. And the person that the edit, I think will be, if this was working awesome, what would it look like? And then countermeasures. And then my team, my colleagues, they implement the change themselves. So they don't outsource. It's not a suggestion. It's problem found, problem resolved, and move on to the next problem. So Kaizen to us is change which is morally right. And why it's morally right? Because it removes burden by removing waste.
Yep. And it's, especially, I would assume after this much time attempting to move in this direction, I'm assuming the overwhelming majority of it is usually quite small.
Tiny.
Yeah, tiny.
Stupid tiny. Yeah.
But I think it's another one of those where I just think there's this counterintuitiveness about just like the 15 minutes in the daily. It's like, actually that's just how we win.
Yeah.
It's not about coming up with, this is the next huge great thing. It's like, no, we're just going to keep slicing. And then a year later, someone looks at it and goes, this is amazing. It's like, well, you did.
So we think both are needed for a good system. We think we need to have a little bit of the dream state in the Kaizen. I had an example come up the other day where somebody shared a Kaizen and the statement was, if we didn't dream about what would be better, I would have been happy with a 30% improvement. But because somebody suggested this idea of dreaming about it, we took 90% away. I'm like, oh my word, I'm thrilled that you have it. And it's only because we've been learning kata also. So we think a healthy system has Toyota kata, or challenges that pulls improvements, basically new capabilities ideally through the whole company. And then we have Kaizen to continuous improvement. It's the idea of mending. And the whole thing is to fight entropy, right? The second law of thermodynamics. So that's what the purpose of Kaizen is really just, it's to realize, science happens to us too. Better do something with it. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, no, I wasn't necessarily saying the big stuff wasn't necessary. I think many folks think that's the only tool. It's like, well,
The funny thing about both of these for us is that we want them to be based on pull. So when I do a quarterly, this is the thou shalt things that we got to do, it generally doesn't carefully listen to what's going on in the organization at any given time. It's very different than saying we're going to go there over the next 12 months, experiment the way into the future at your not leisure, but as the business permits. And the same is true with Kaizen. It's, hey, you just got to do one a month. That's the goal. So there's always time within a month. So it is still, it's planning, but it's less about the calendar and more about the pull of life, which is, we think, why it works a little bit.
So when you think about with the folks that you are fortunate enough to work with, both inside your company and immediately outside, the folks that are asking for help and support, that sort of stuff, what are some of the common, you said they had a challenge, right? And so what are some of the other things that you're seeing as a parallel or just commonalities? So if you're going to pick a couple, three things that described all the people in your broader community, what would those couple, three things be?
Oh, that's a great question. Eagerness to learn. So I'd start there, is that they really want to learn. A second would be humility, which is, I think those are obviously hand in hand, but most of the people that I know in positions that are like yours and I's, let's see, like ours in terms of our positions at the company, they get there and they're kind of lonely. So it's so to admit that you don't know how to do something can be difficult or impossible in certain places. So I'd say the humility to be able to at least admit to me, like, I'm scared, I don't know what to do. And to know that I'm just going to love them through that process. And if I can't help them, let them know that as well. Yeah, humility, curious, hardworking, I think, would be another one. So there's some that don't work. And so like the gentleman who didn't want to be Lewis, like, he didn't want to go on the adventure. And he's probably great, and I think he's hilarious and a factor in the development of this system. But if you aren't willing to do the work, then none of these things are really interesting. So for the current company we're working with, one of them, the leader has been willing to do pull all the way. So he basically said to his leadership team, if you want coaching, you're invited to submit for that. Tell me a challenge that you want to work on that would make your life a lot better. And so everybody who has applied with, I had this challenge, this vision of what could be so much better, and I'd like to have some individual coaching to get me there. So each of them now have a challenge statement that we'll look at and go, okay, you're in. Now, what are you really working on today? And how do we create the time so you can work on the cool stuff? So I'm finding a lot of energy from this idea of, look, there's a resource, it's available. There's several people in the organization who I think are brilliant, who don't need my help, who didn't apply, and I have no negative feelings towards that, because I might not be the right guy, or my company may not be the right person for it. So,
Sure.
So I think that's the other part is just,
and obviously none of this is, we can move off the question if this is too much information to be shared at this level, but are the challenges all professional or directly related to the company, or are there challenges that are just challenges?
In this case, the ones that were submitted were all for the business, because that was the direction given.
Okay.
But one of our favorite one is actually, his name's Detlef. He's a doctor in Utrecht area, and his first challenge was, I'd love to have an hour a day to think about better patient care. And it took, I think, he and Tucker worked with him on the how to coaching. I think it took him a couple months to get to the point where he got 2 hours a day.
That sucks.
Yeah, terrible. This is 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And he has used that 2 hours a day to deliver some amazing things, to the point that it won't be long before I could be able to say, gosh, this center, this thing that is happening here, it's taking better care of grandmas now, and it wouldn't have happened without that. So yeah, personal ones are super fun. Another one was an executive at a public company, and his was, he wanted to lose, I think, 20, 30 pounds, some ridiculous amount of weight, and succeeded at it, and looks great still to this day, and that was 2 or 3 years ago. So so it's almost always a business thing, because the business is usually paying for it. But a good business will say, use this to get healthy, and then we can talk about the other things. Yeah. Oh, in fact, I worked with a CEO, and she wanted to accomplish a cold water challenge for New Year's Day. That was her goal.
Wow.
So we worked. It was like, I think it was a 2-month challenge, something ridiculous.
Yeah.
And on New Year's Day, which she thought it was going to be this really hard thing, there are 4 or 5 of her friends that happened to show up at the beach, and they had a beach party in the. It's one of those boss things.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
Right. So the day that was going to be the big challenge day, the big reveal, whatever.
Yeah.
She had just randomly, 4 or 5 of her friends, and she taught everybody how to jump into the pool and all the things she had done to get there.
That's awesome.
So,
Yeah.
Personal stuff. Yeah.
So, so I have a question for you. And I'm happy to tell you, I have an opinion. I'm happy to state it ahead of time, because I know that you'll share your perspective regardless of mine. But in the best sense of the word, that's why I'm asking the question. So I'm completely convinced. And when I say completely convinced, I can't count the number of times I put my money where my mouth is on this. So like, that's as good as it gets. Like, I don't care what progress they make. I'm like, if it's progress, I mean, it's got to be measurable. But you can go back to 2004 because we used to give them money to do things. I'm like, I just need a letter as to how, like people did, like they jumped out of airplanes. We bought U2 tickets. We did all sorts of stuff, but they had to be able to show how this thing was going to like add back, right? So I'm completely convinced of that. I've had plenty of people give me a slightly different look on their face when I ask it, as somebody who's got a lot more practical, and I think via Toyota Kata and others, a lot of real framework as well as discipline, rigor to it. What's your sort of opinion on building momentum inside of people as a business person too, not just as a human? We can talk about that later maybe, but.
Yeah. Well, I only think in terms of who I am. That includes business and yeah. So I think it's significant. I love the idea. If somebody says, I am looking to have agency, I have to jump out of an airplane to do that. What a wonderful investment. I would be willing to bet that human being, if they did that, has accomplished things that they'll never be explained this side of heaven. But super important. I got to see a kid get baptized this week, and I'm crying like a baby out there watching this kid take a physical act in the direction of his faith, where you can say, yeah, life is different now. So, and I know for me too, there are chapters in my life where I can say, I as a human being needed to have a breakthrough, and that breakthrough, there's a payoff at work. There's a payoff in my marriage, whatever that might be, but it's very individual. So if the question is that part of the human spirit or the human experience, I would say you do need a little wilderness experience to be able to go, okay, who am I? Like to be tested. COVID was that for us, right? So COVID was, a chance for us to participate in building some things for healthcare workers, and a chance to decide, are we who we say we are? And if so, what does that look like? So, yeah. But I think the physical momentum is significant. And I think it is frequently unrelated to business. The business benefits, I think. It doesn't have to be inside the business, though.
Yeah. So I think you definitely sort of answered it, but I mean, I think maybe to frame it on my side a little better. So maybe one camp would be is I have to see the coaching practice or the progress directly tied to the P&L, right? Like what line item on the P&L, what GL account is going to be impacted, right? And then someone else might take a little closer to the Dan approach where it's like, they have to basically, if they can lie with a straight face, they pass the test.
Go for it. Yeah.
Good enough for me. That would be the two ends. So dancing in that continuum, does that, anything to add in that?
So I much prefer that somebody understands the universe well enough to say, I trust this human being to make a good judgment, and I trust that they're going to work on something that makes them more productive. And I don't even need to hear anything about it other than that you guys have either continued or discontinued based on your growth. That's my ideal state. But a step into the direction of the business is if the shareholder, the corporation is funding that, it's nice to do math because then you can spread that out through the rest of the org. So I think a little bit of both, but ideally the leader is like, I know that if we create flow, we're going to have so many good things. Don't worry about it. Run like crazy. However, please do kata challenges where you quantify some of the wins so that when I get replaced, the next stiff that is in my job has the numbers so that they'll continue this as well. And I always try to think multi-generationally with organizations and people, anything. But whatever we're doing, we have to get past that first leader into the second and third generation. So math will be needed at some point. So we need both, I think, is the answer that that's what I'm coaching to. Is, or is it Cortez that burned the ships? So if it's impossible to go back, then who gives a shit? Just do it.
Yeah.
right? So yeah, and that's
Yeah, no, I'm
yeah.
not a big fan of burning the ships. Like, not so much. How about just like make a stand? Then if you need to change your mind, you can, but like just
Yeah.
take it off the table.
Yeah.
But no, I get it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pick on, but yeah. All right. If we go along the lines of, is there something that you see today that is maybe core to the business or core to your perspective on the business that maybe when you first got out of UW, that first week after University of Washington, that you wouldn't believe is here today?
I'm trying to understand the question.
So I'm trying to think of something that is this we'll figure out a better way to ask the question, but I assume, and then this some poetic license.
We're good.
Yeah. So the treehouse was out of reach, or the Brazil tour or 34 Brazilians, whatever we had, was out of reach 25 years ago. So like what is here that is undeniable, that was unsealable?
Sure.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. So let me think through that for a sec. I think you're asking, as a second generation guy, what would you and the first generation guy have not imagined when you first got out of college? Not possible.
100%. And one of the things too is, I think this combination of probably some big jumps, some big things that happen, along with countless little paper cuts. And that transformation, what are some of those things that happen?
Okay, so I have the luck of just having spent a little time with my dad at our 50th anniversary for a company. Mm-hmm. So he never imagined that we'd have 200 people making stuff. He's I just can't believe that that we get to do business with these companies. Like he frequently will have me say the name of our customers again. It's not dementia. I think he just wants to hear me say, "Dad, these are our customers," right?
Yeah, totally.
So he would say, I can't imagine. I could not have imagined you building a building, the one next door to his, that would communicate your values. That's consistent with what everything he said, but you build on this whole training thing, the shining your light. He would just say, that sounds crazy. Sounded crazy to him before, still does. So I think his story, just the fact that the business is so much bigger than he could have ever imagined. And he did not have an operating philosophy. So he could run the shop up to about 25 people. His his system choice was craftsperson. So I don't think that at that time he could imagine an operating method that would allow us to scale. And that's, I think, what I brought to the table was discovering of an operating system that could allow us to scale. And that started with firing some customers that wanted the old version of us. It meant discovering what we wanted to become and then putting our money and time to that. The things that surprise me now, like knowing you, like the fact that we're talking, like we're calling this work today. That I get to know you, that you get to introduce me to some people from a different continent, and that we get to bless a region together, somehow, some way. Like that's crazy. The fact that every day I get to talk to healthcare professionals in other countries, and help them deliver better care to grandmas, like in tangible ways. Like I can literally look at that and go, Lord, I could have never made a plan like that. If I were to write up, you call him boss, I call him Jesus, and say, Jesus, here's my plan for life. And he says, it's a genie bottle thing. You can rub it, or you can just pray, whatever you do as a Christian. I would have never written the script of my life that includes, I get to know you, I get to go around the world and help grandmas have better care. And I wouldn't have written that, when a woman's husband dies, that I get to talk to her as a human being and feel devastated in her misery, or not misery, in her grief, all because we went big on truth but pull. There's just none of that. None of it makes sense. None of it we planned. And that's why when people ask me, hey, well, what's your plan for the future? my plan is to follow my maker wherever he takes me. And he has better plans than I do. So please stop asking me that question.
Yeah.
Because I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to add a comment on that one in just a second. But what about just the 50 years in and of itself? Not to make, I mean, like, that's like, do you think that was on the radar or no? I don't know. Either way.
For my dad, I think so. It's hard to know with him. He's
what
the guy
you,
that
though?
I don't think that way. So I don't think that way.
Okay,
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I think I've said all through the years, I'm amazed that we're still in business. Making furniture in Washington State, where the state seems to be out to kill us, just doesn't make sense. And yet we're still alive, barely. So I would just say, I won't be surprised if in 3 years we're out of business because of just where we're doing business. And if that's the case, and you're like, Jeff, you're a failure now, I'd say, nope, I'm just as stupid as before. I'm still me. And right. So I'm surprised every year that we're in business. I'm surprised every day that I don't get a call that says, hey, you're getting sued. So no, I don't think that way. And what I'm really thinking about now is, does this business deserve to exist in the future? And if so, why? And if so, led by who? Because I'm 58 now. And I've got plans to do other things in life.
Yeah. Well, speaking of plans, one thing, regardless of what we call it, I frequently drop back and I'm like, why do I bother making plans? Like, what is provided is frequently so much better. So I think what I have found is it's not that my ideas suck. Some of them do, for sure. And it's not that they're small or like whatever, although some of them are. And it's not even that they're delusional. I mean, some of them are. I mean, all of them are, some of them qualify for all of that. But a lot of them are actually really solid, and they're somewhat divorced from self. And, and then what shows up just ends up being perfect is above my pay grade, but it seems closer to right. You're just like, oh, but not seeable by me. You know what I mean? Like and it happens sometimes in conversations when someone will suggest something and I'll be like, I just would not have gone there in a good way. Like, it's like, no, I covered ground pretty quickly. But that's like 4 parking lots over, So we see that hopefully in our day-to-day interactions with people, it could be one of those scales of magnitude, right, where it could apply to other things other than just conversation points.
Yeah,
potentially.
for sure. Yeah, for sure.
All right.
Thanks for listening to Beats Working, Winning the Game of Work. If something resonated, share the episode and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And remember, clarity isn't something you find. It's something you practice. And getting paid to practice life beats working to get paid.